Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about what I believe is the biggest reason why a lot of young men are staying single. I could make this into a video of 100 reasons why men are choosing to be single today because there are a lot of reasons. We know that there are more young men remaining single than in any recent generation. And I do think that there are a lot of factors, but I want to dive into what I think is one of the biggest reasons why I've been hearing from young men as to why they have decided to remain single. I've come across a video of a gentleman talking about his experience, and it looks like he's in his maybe late 20s or 30s. And I think that he verbalizes his experience really well. So the first thing we're going to do is listen to it. And I want to talk about what he's talking about, the impact of what he experienced and the change of mindset that he kind of breezes over. But I think that a lot of men are going through exactly what he went through, and it's making a very large impact on our society. And then lastly, as usual, I'm just going to give some advice. I'm going to give some advice to women and to you guys out there that are experiencing this, because I really think that those of you that are listening, like, it is already an excellent sign. It's a good sign that you guys want a relationship, right? You wouldn't be listening to this content if you weren't wanting that. And so I want to give you advice as to what you can do to better improve your chances of finding the right woman for you and developing the right relationship for you. Before we get started, guys, please remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet to catch my videos every Friday. Before I say any more, let's watch the video that inspired the content today.
What is the most painful thing anyone has ever said to you?
It was definitely what my ex said after we had our closure moment. She said that I was the person that got her out of her depression and got her outside. And then the moment that she realized she had to do that for me, she couldn't, and so she left me. I was in a very dark place. I had a lot of people dying at that time.
How did that make you feel?
Still processing it, yeah. Definitely used and often feel abandoned in that moment. Made me feel like I've had to have everything secure before I get into another relationship, but that's unhealthy for myself.
Why do you think she felt like she couldn't handle it?
Some people just, I don't know, when the going gets rough, that's when you realize who are the real ones in your life.
What did you learn about relationships?
Even the people you love can do some of the worst things to you. You can choose to forgive them or not, but all you got to do is forgive yourself and accept who you are and just keep going.
The amount of men that were in the comments in the original video and in the video that I posted in regards to this video that have said over and over again, guys, do not tell your feelings. Do not open up. Do not be vulnerable like this to a woman. They have experienced this. I can't even tell you guys, as a woman giving dating advice, I can't tell you absolutely don't worry. Just tell her your feelings, because honestly, I don't think that most women can handle it. It's so tough, guys, because I think it's really difficult to really know how a woman is going to react to your vulnerability. And for a lot of men, honestly, you're so strong and you're so committed to being a provider that maybe you never really experience a large hiccup in your life. And, you're in this relationship, you're married, you have a family, and you continue on and things are smooth sailing. But for a lot of men, it's not that. And they do have a hiccup in life. And then for their woman to not be able to hold space for that is really challenging. And we could get into the reasons why I think that this has developed, because I think there are reasons why women have become this way and they don't hold space for their man as much as maybe previous generations. I think that we in general are more materialistic. I think that we have these high expectations that have been inflated because of dating apps and because of social media. I think that the few men that have had bad behavior, poor behavior in relationships, I think that it just gets inflated because of social media and because of stories, that there's a lot of distrust in men. I think that because there's more and more divorces, there's more single mom homes raising kids on their own, and they're either cutting out the dad or the dad isn't involving himself, to where boys are being raised by single moms. girls are being raised by single moms and they're not seeing that healthy dynamic of a relationship, and they're not having the influence of their dad, which is very necessary. So yeah, there are reasons to why this is happening, but the bottom line is that when it happens, a man is going to feel like he has just gave. He gave so much within the relationship, but then when he's the one that needs a little something in return, she can't do that for him. But then the minute that he can't give as much, that woman that he gave so much to, all of a sudden is unhappy in the relationship and decides to end it. So I think is very reasonable as to why that man all of a sudden now feels like he needs to be in a really good spot before he can date. Because he has learned that a woman that he's with is not going to be happy if he's not in a good spot. And surprise, surprise, because what that creates is a lot of young men that are trying to build through their 20s like they don't have everything that a woman might say that she wants because of these crazy expectations. He is going to feel like he can't win, like it's an impossible mission, because he doesn't have exactly what she wants and he can't be emotionally vulnerable with her. So if he is not in an excellent mental health status, if he doesn't already have a bunch of money, if he doesn't already own his home, if he doesn't already have his investments lined up, if he doesn't already have all of his baggage taken care of, there's just so many things. And look, the bottom line is that we cannot be perfect human beings, especially in our 20s. Like, that is one of our greatest periods of, I feel like, learning and human development. So for there not to be really that much grace, it does leave men feeling like they are just there for what they can provide. Like they are not loved for who they are as people. Like you can't blame them for feeling that way. I think that there's a lot of clear evidence that points to why they feel that way. And look, I'm not even saying that it's all women's fault. I'm just saying that when one particular man goes through this and this is what he comes out the other end saying, it is that woman's fault. It is, I blame that woman. I blame his ex for now him having issues and staying single for a period of time. Like, I do think that that's detrimental to him, like, and to his ability to have a relationship that's healthy with a woman. Now I want to give you my advice to women first, okay? To women, it's pretty simple. I think you need to learn to hold space for a man's vulnerability. I think that you need to feel secure in yourself enough and self-confident enough in yourself, and you have to work on yourself to build that up. You cannot just rely on everything, every good feeling that you ever experience coming from a man. You can't rely on that. Like, you should be able to hold an uncomfortable, unknown space for him, for going through hard times, especially if you ever want to make a long-term commitment to a man, because when vows are involved, I know today's day and age, like that might not mean as much as it once did, but it should. So I think that a lot of women need to work on that. Now, my advice to men is that I think that you should be able to be vulnerable, but you need to make sure that it is appropriate for the amount of time that you've been together and for like how deep the relationship is. So I don't think it's a smart idea in both ways, right? For a woman or a man to be super vulnerable with essentially a stranger, you know, if you've just met them a week ago or 2 weeks ago. But at some point, it should happen. It should just naturally happen. You don't even need to test it. But I think that you shouldn't hold it back when it comes about in the relationship. Say you're a month in, you're 6 months in. That's actually perfect. 6 months to a year. I would say in my brain, that's a perfect timeline to be vulnerable with your partner about something and look at their reaction. And I think that you should react to their reaction in an appropriate manner. So if she does not react well to you, all right, I could say that's a red flag. You know, just move on, leave it at that. But I don't think you should even just do that. I think that you should call it out for what it is. Because if you take that and you walk away from the relationship and she walks away as if, you know, that was just circumstantial, you know, you went through a tough time and she just couldn't handle it. That's like not okay. It really isn't. I think that especially in this situation where he was there for her and he helped her get through it, she couldn't She couldn't return the favor. She couldn't even just be less than that and just hang on. You know, he wasn't even saying that he needed her to do exactly what he was able to do for her. She just needed to maybe hold space for it and just hang in there and be okay with him resolving the stuff on his own. So what I'm saying is that in this particular case, if he had said anything back to her, such as, look, this is what I've done for you, and you can't even return this. This is how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like you've just used me, like you were just here when I could provide something to you, whether it was emotional support, financial support, whatever that was during that time that you had difficulty. And for me to go through something difficult right now in this moment, and for you to just completely give up and to not be able to be there, like it feels like you didn't really love me. It makes it feel like you were just here temporarily until things, became not as nice in your situation. I think that this is the part of really open and honest communication that is so necessary in a relationship. And while this example that I gave to you guys, this is a little bit of an extreme, and I would say this is just a total red flag and he needs to just walk away. There are smaller things that happen within relationships, which I think a lot of you guys just kind of get over the hump and you don't push back on your woman as much because you want to keep the peace. But I do think that early on in a relationship, so if you're 6 months in and you're vulnerable with her about something and she makes you feel bad for it, I think you can call it out as simply as, that's kind of crappy behavior that you did that and you made me feel bad for that. And I am just fine now. Like I will take care of this myself, but I'm just letting you know that you weren't there for me. Like call the behavior out. And I think that we might see some changes within that relationship, especially early on. You want to set the tone before continuing on, because I think that when you don't set the tone, whether it's coming from the man or the woman, things kind of just continue on and they can seep into the bottom of the foundation of the relationship. And then you guys are just stuck. So don't get stuck. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said today, let me know, and I will see you next week.